That fella couldn't do anything. He couldn't even kneel to pray. And he got saved. Are you saved? That fella couldn't join the church. He couldn't join the church. He couldn't get baptized. He couldn't get baptized. He woke up with God. He woke up with the devil. Are you saved? So that fella didn't take the sacraments, didn't take the sacraments. Didn't say the rosary, didn't take the rosary. Didn't tithe, didn't tithe. He went to heaven, he went to hell. You saved? Didn't keep the law, he didn't keep the law. He broke the commandments, he broke the commandments. He didn't keep the golden rule, he didn't keep the golden rule. He woke up in glory, he woke up in the pit. Are you saved? You're saved. If you're not saved, you're over here or you're over here. You sure ain't in the middle. He said, Lord, remember me, thou comest thy kingdom. And Jesus turned to him and said, verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be saved. It's like that. You have been saved? If you ever saved, you were saved like that.
All right. In this video, I want to talk about something interesting here, but before I do, I want to talk about God a little bit and just his kindness and his gentleness. Because I was getting an impression to do this video you're seeing before you hear, where I want to talk about these buildings here. And I was kind of like, I don't really want to do it. I just didn't feel like it. And then a little while later, I got the impression again, and I was thinking about this. And then I was still like, maybe later on, I don't know. Usually I'm not like that. But, just today, that's just how it was. And then a little while ago, I got a comment. And this person was asking, do you think Harris would have been a better choice than going for Trump? And I just told them something along the lines of, I don't think it would have mattered. I think the left and right are working together to tear down the nation. Ultimately, I don't think it mattered who you voted for, because they were going to push Trump in there anyway to do this certain job of tearing things down. But if somehow, let's say Harris won, they would be doing the same thing, but they would be doing it, instead of wearing red, they would be wearing blue, right? And they would do it a little bit differently, but it would still be the same thing going on. I could sense that the person was a Trump supporter. And when I said that, they responded by saying, well, I've seen and heard Satanists speak out and call Trump evil. So isn't that a bit of a kingdom divided? And I was realizing maybe he supports Trump, right? Because he sees, Satanists call him evil. I don't want to be joined with Satanists. I'm going to support Trump, right? But they don't understand that that's exactly how this game works. WWE wrestling. I used this analogy before. But let's say you got, like when I was growing up, you had Hulk Hogan, right? You had Andre the Giant being the bad guy, right? And when Hulk Hogan's there, he's just a wrestler. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Who cares, right? Just another wrestler. But then you have Andre the Giant being the aggressor, causing problems, being the bad guy, being the heel, getting you worked up, right? And this can be in any role, right? Like you have, as it became like a teenager, you had Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then you had Vince McMahon. And again, Stone Cold's just a wrestler. But then when you have an antagonist there, or what have you, it gets you kind of invested, right? But ultimately, all these people are working together. You see, these people who are getting all bad, and they don't like Hulk Hogan, they don't like Stone Cold Steve Austin. But you know you don't like these guys, right? You don't like them. They're the bad guys. Well, since you don't like them and they're the bad guys, and they are picking on these guys over here, you side with them. But behind the scenes, they're friends, they're co-workers, right? It's the boss with his employees putting on a show to get you invested, right? So in that same manner, well, this person's talking about Satanists, and they're calling out, they call Trump evil. And they're like, well, I don't want to be associated with Satanists, so I'm going to support him. And you see how that same trick just worked? But then behind the scenes, buddy. Right? And what does this have to do with the buildings? Well, because I believe this is showing exactly what the point is here. The point of all this. You see, because ultimately we have in politics the same thing going on in a very large scale, where you have, in some people's eyes, the left, right? Where this fellow was like, hey, you think Harris was better? And then he brings up Satanists. So he sees the left over here as satanic, and then he sees the right over here as if it's Christian. But ultimately, it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? Some people see this side as good, some people see it as evil. Some people see this side as good, some people see it as evil. But it's ultimately, both sides are good and evil, and together they're both good and evil, right? And they're working together. And how do they work together? To give you an illusion that the government is divided when it's not. So then when the government starts to do something, right? Let's say the lefters in power and they're starting to do something people don't like. Well, you just hate the left side of the government. I want to go support the right. So it gets you to still support the government, right? And then if the right's in power and they're doing something you don't like, well, it's the right is doing it. I'm going to go over to the left and support the left. So you're still supporting the government. It's like you're choosing the left wing or the right wing of the same bird, the left hand or the right hand of the same being. The way I like to put it is that you can choose over here Satan, or you can choose Lucifer, right? Where it's both the same devil, right? They're both the devil. The devil can come to you as Satan, where he's obviously an evil being, or he comes to you as Lucifer, where he pretends to be a good guy, right? But it's the same guy, just pretending, right? And that's how it is. It's an illusion of division. It's not a kingdom divided. It's not divided at all, and it's an illusion of division, right? It's the whole world is a play. It's a stage, right? And what do these buildings have to do with all this? Well, you see how these buildings actually represent a lot, right? You can kind of say it's like the two horns of a lamb-like beast, maybe, right? Something like that. Not saying it is, but you notice that with the Twin Towers, one of them had a large antenna on top of it, representing male and female, and it had this bridge showing, that they're connected, right? You can use this as a representation of how the American government is set up with the left and the right, working together, even when they're pretending to be enemies, right? Because they know the economy is going to crash, the dollar is going to be worthless. They know the empire is falling. So to keep you all invested in it, they blame it on each other. So you pick a side and you blame the whole problem on the other side when it's actually both of them that's doing it. They caused it, right? Because ultimately, the whole plan, right? We have this left-right. You can even say communism and capitalism, right? Is we had 9/11 happen, and they were turned into rubble, right? Destroyed. I think that was a message that the way the government is, they're going to bring it into chaos, they're going to destroy it. But people thought it was a random attack. But these buildings fell down in a controlled demolition. And they just told everybody that it was an attack. It wasn't meant to happen, but it happened, right? And that's how it's going to be with the government, right? The left and right are going to go at each other. One of them's going to drop down first, and then the other one, they're both going to end up being destroyed, right? And if anybody's familiar with some of the Freemasonic and Illuminati occultic views of America being a phoenix and not an eagle where it's going to rise again from the ashes, that this is all a planned chaos, a controlled demolition where they're destroying the nation intentionally. They're just trying to control it all the best they can. There might be some fallout where there's some damage to other buildings that you just can't avoid. But for the most part, they kept it safe where the buildings just fell right on top of itself, right into one convenient little pile, right? Other than some dust and some debris and what have you, right? And that's what they're going to do with the nation. And then they have it over here. It's united. And that's what I've been telling people is going to happen, is not only, one world government, but I was telling people that the economy, you can see they're planning. They're going to mix communism and capitalism together. Because I was telling them they're both on the same side. You can't choose one of capitalism or communism without choosing Satan's system, right? Because both end up having it where you get the crap end of the stick here. Because in capitalism, like we see, like 1% owns over 50% of the wealth in the nation. And then everybody else has to share what's left, right? In communism, you have the state, which basically 1% of the people, again, they get to control everything, and then everybody else has to share everything, right? It's the same thing. There's just different processes about getting it done, right? You still have a ruling class. They just rule differently. I would rather have a left boot on my face than a right boot. I'd rather have the right boot on my face than the left. It's just arguing about the dumbest things ever, right? And this building over here, it's going to be a mix. That's why you hear about the basic monthly income, right? It's going to be communism in the sense that everybody's going to share the wealth of the nation. You're going to get a basic monthly income that's only going to take care of the necessities, right? Shelter, clothing, your basic food to make sure you survive. But if you want more, you do certain work, jobs, whatever it is. So it's like capitalism, where if you want more, you can earn it and get more, right? That's just how it's going to be. It's a mix, right? And this building, it's a mix where it's curvy yet straight, having the point on it, showing the mixture of male and female. It's going to be mixing the physical and the spiritual. It's mixing the left and right together as one. Satan and Lucifer coming together, the good and the evil, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil no longer being separated in this illusion, right? Bringing it all together, the whole world. You can say it's one horn rising up, right? You can almost think of like North America, for example, is made up of the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And you can imagine if like all three of them went down and then they became one nation, it'd be kind of like what Daniel talked about, where there was 10 horns, 3 were plucked up, and 1 came up out of it. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, I'm just kind of throwing out some interesting ideas. Because there's a lot more than 10 nations, right? So it doesn't really apply. It's just a thought that came to my mind that I felt like sharing while doing the video. But ultimately, the symbolism is tearing down of the old world order, bringing about a new one, right? And it's a mix. It's mixing them together. Mixing things that ought not to be mixed. It's why the whole thing, like I told the person in the comments, because you think there's a division, but you see, this is Babylon. And that equals confusion. You know, welcome to Babylon. Where you think it's all divided and these people don't like each other. But it's just a show. It's a show to get you to side with one or the other. But they're ultimately behind the scenes working together. It's just an act. You can even say with a good chunk of it, you can have Catholics and Orthodox. They kind of put on a show when they're fighting, right? But they're ultimately together because they will join up against Protestants, right? And then that acts like that's a division, but they actually fight against true Christians, right? So they're all divided up, but they are all worshiping the same God over on this side, Satan. And that's why they all have a works-based salvation, just like all the other heathen pagan religions, where, oh, I have to keep the law, I have to go to church on the correct Sabbath day, I have to get water baptized, I have to take the sacraments, I have to partake of the Eucharist, I have to wear a scapular while I die, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do good works, I gotta pay my tithes, I gotta pay alms, I gotta, and I gotta make sure everybody knows that I'm a good guy, I'm a good gal, right? I gotta do all these things so that I can go to heaven, right? Well, you see that they're following Satan here. They're not following Jesus, right? Because Satan, Isaiah 14, I'm going to be like the Most High. I'm going to ascend, right? Right? Basically saying I'm going to be good like God, and my own righteousness is going to allow me to just walk right into heaven, to be equal with God, morally speaking. I don't deserve hell like everybody else. And isn't that the mindset of the good chunk of all of these people right here? At least I'm trying, right? That's what I hear him say a lot. As if I'm just going out of my way to sin, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. But when you're following Jesus, it's all about him, how he loved us, and he gave his life in exchange for ours, so that our life doesn't matter. Our righteousness is given over to him. He takes the penalty for it, and then he gives us his righteousness, and we get the reward for it. That's why we're saved by mercy and grace. We're not saved by actually not deserving hell and earning heaven, or else we wouldn't be saved by mercy and grace. Right? So you see, just because there's division doesn't mean it's a kingdom divided. It's a show. It's an illusion. It's part of Babylon. It's all broken up. The final kingdom, part of iron, part of clay. Right? It's divided up. And the rest of the statue is made up of bronze, silver, and gold. It appears to be a division, but the statue, even though it's made up of 5 different materials, is all one. Right? It's an illusion. They're all working together. Right? You look at the beast. It's like a 7-headed dragon, a lion, a leopard, a bear that has bird's wings, has horns, right? It's got this, all these things that should be separated, all united together. But of course, after chaos, right? Order out of chaos. The Freemason motto. They're just telling it to you right in front of your face. right? People wonder why they do this stuff. And why do they let these kind of so-called secrets out? It's because they have to. So that you don't have an excuse that you didn't know. It's all right there. You just decided to ignore it or dismiss it or justify it in some way. All right? But you see, even though it's all appears like there's different division of nations and religions and economies and political parties and media outlets, education systems, technologies, they're all working together for the same thing. And you come to find out that a lot of these corporations and companies are all just sub-companies to basically something like just 6 major companies that own everything else. Right? And those companies are buying up more and more of the others so that, they probably just end up being one, right? That owns everything. And you have this illusion of division that doesn't actually exist. It's just an illusion, right? Like the same company makes chocolate and vanilla ice cream, but only one store buys the chocolate and another store only buys the vanilla. And they fight against each other and get you to choose which side, right? Which ice cream are you going to go with? And it doesn't matter which one you choose. Ultimately, it's the same company that's making the ice cream. And you could choose either one, but it's from the same ice cream maker. All right? You're not like, oh, this one is better for you than the other. It's more healthy than the other. No, it's using the same ingredients. Just one adds a chocolate flavoring, one adds a vanilla flavoring. Right? Whatever helps you take the medicine, right? But I can just rephrasing this in different ways. So I'm going to wrap this up here, let it splice off into my ending video. But yeah, I wasn't really going to get into it. But then the comments kind of got me thinking about it a bit more. I'm like, yeah, I can talk about the illusion of division. It's just a game they put on to bring about chaos, to get us all fighting against each other. And then once we destroy everything, they bring us into a unity. A unity that ought not to be. Right? It's a chimera, an amalgamation, an abomination. Right? Like the angels mixing with the seed of men, with the daughters of men. Right? Like man mixing with machine. Male and female being in one body. Right? Like a Baphomet kind of thing, where it's male and female and it's man and animal, right? It's just all kinds of mixed up stuff. But, yeah, that's that. All right, it's the end of the video. And I figured I would do an ending segment to my video so I don't have to keep repeating myself. But I do want to remind you to do what Isaiah said to do and seek out the book of the Lord and read it, putting line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, doing what Paul said, and studying the word, showing yourself approved unto God, rightly dividing the word of truth. And if you read English, that would be the KJV. And then do what John has Jesus recorded telling the church of Philadelphia, and keep his word, preserve it, protect it, hide it in your hearts, and not deny his name. And then Jesus will never be able to tell you you do err not knowing the scriptures, and he'll keep you from the hour of temptation, which is going to come upon all those that dwell upon the earth here shortly. And with that being said, I'd like to ask you for your support. You watching the video all the way to the end helps out a lot, but if you could like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share the video, share the channel, interact in the comments section, These things help out a lot, especially with people telling me that their likes are not being registered, that they get unsubscribed, and all kinds of other ways being shadow banned. Your help in this way was greatly appreciated. And if you're able to give me a little bit more time and pray to our Heavenly Father that He keeps this ministry going and He uses it to reach those who He wants to reach, to get the truth out to the world, to make it a bright light, and to feed His sheep, to feed His children, even to bring forth more children, and that He would watch over all of us, His born-again believers, and take care of us, provide for us, and protect us, even after He comes and gets us, which looks like it's going to be real soon. And just to amen in Jesus' name to that should be all we need. But if you could help out some more, I know times are rough and they look like they're getting rougher, but if you're able to support financially, there's a few ways you can do so in the info description box, such as PayPal, Venmo, and there's a couple other ways you can support if you so choose to do so, which would make sure I can keep this ministry going longer than the foreseeable future, because this kind of support has been drying up there. It's pretty much non-existent lately. So if you could help out in that way, it would be greatly appreciated to make sure I can keep doing this. But if you could at least pray, I know God will provide. And sometimes it's a change of ministry, so maybe it won't be a ministry online anymore. But hey, if you want to keep seeing this stuff, pray. And with all that being said, thank you so much again for your time and attention, for watching this video all the way through. I appreciate it. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one, and may God bless you and yours.